I didn't realize TikTok is actually banned in China. Shocker. And yet, the land of the free, the home of the brave,
I was going to say,
the American politicians think it's a great idea, and more these days, to follow the lead of the totalitarian Communist Party in China. Speaking of passing laws that do nothing but screw shit up, we have
Nice
the
segue.
TikTok ban, ostensibly coming under the name of the quote-unquote Restrict Act. And David and I were just talking about this before we hit record on today's episode. Is for once in their godforsaken lives, politicians appropriately named a bill because, you know, as we are fond of always pointing out, the name usually does or actually is the exact opposite of what it says. But the Restrict Act is exactly as it says. It restricts you a lot.
And isn't the timing so coincidental that not 2, 3, 4 months after Elon acquires one of their biggest social media outlets, that all of a sudden TikTok becomes a problem? Another social media outlet? In line with Instagram, in line with Facebook, in line with Twitter. I mean, now they want to make rules.
Because of TikTok's parent company being a Chinese company, ByteDance, there's been talks dating back to the Trump administration, basically since TikTok has been around, that, you know, there is political capital, political hay to be made in banning it because it is linked with the Chinese Communist Party or whatever, which is a rather interesting thing because I didn't know this until Rand Paul in testifying on the Senate floor against the Restrict Act. We'll have more on that in a moment. I didn't realize TikTok is actually banned in China. Shocker. And yet, the land of the free, the home of the brave,
I was going to say,
the American politicians think it's a great idea, and more these days, to follow the lead of the totalitarian Communist Party in China. It's strange how that works. But to put it in a nice little package with a bow on it for you, the Restrict Act is basically, and here's your Epstein moment, the Patriot Act on steroids. The Restrict Act allows the federal government to regulate virtually any device that connects to the internet. We're talking Ring cameras, we're talking cell phones, we're talking your wireless router.
Alexa, play my fucking rights are gone.
Anything that connects to the internet. And it goes a step further in that if you try to use any sort of tool to circumvent the government's spying on you all the way into your very living room.
VPNs and the like.
Yes, virtual private networks. You are subject to 20 years imprisonment or a $250,000 fine.
Well, doesn't that seem very anti-freedom to me?
It is super anti-freedom. Now, tracking back to the Culture Corner where we really were banging the drum about sticking to principles, that's exactly what Rand Paul did in standing on the Senate floor, going against his party, because this is being pushed largely by Republicans. It does have bipartisan support, but it's largely being pushed by Republicans because don't you understand, you stupid voting citizen who doesn't ever think any further than 2 inches in front of your nose. This is a simple cut and dry issue of getting one over on China. And don't you know, China's our top enemy. So unless you love China and hate America, how can you possibly oppose this completely blank check, open-ended, arbitrary grant of power to the government that would make the ones who drafted the Patriot Act about 2 decades ago blush? But that's exactly what Rand Paul did and said, no, this is not a good idea. Blank checks to the government in terms of more power to spy on the American people, even more than they already do and are allowed to, circumvent federal law and the U.S. Constitution under the Patriot Act, is maybe we shouldn't do this. Maybe free speech should actually still hold some purchase in American society, and we shouldn't allow the Restrict Act to go forward. That was essentially Rand Paul's argument, and largely, definitely within the Senate. I know there's people in the House like Thomas Massie who will echo the same sentiments, but largely in the Senate, Rand Paul stands alone in making these objections. I'm not saying that he is the only one, but he is one of very few. And it's a sad day that one member has to do that to save 330 million of us from the 1984, dystopia that is right around the corner. But that's where we are. And regardless of whether he's a Republican or a Democrat, if you enjoy any amount of privacy left in your life, call your own representatives and senators and say, hey, move your vote from the ledger on the opposite of Rand Paul to his side, because this is bad and it should be killed with fire.
How else am I supposed to look at risk young teenagers shaking their ass on the interweb for popularity?
Well,
how else am I supposed to get my news delineated to me in short little one segment clips without social media? Like, why just focus on TikTok? Why not focus on all the other things?
That's the point.
Oh, so now the government will have control over social media like they didn't before.
Right.
Interesting.
TikTok is the Trojan horse.
There's no, and as we say, and it's precluding the main topic, which might be a nice segue, is that once one falls, then everyone else is subjected to it. Kind of like canceling Alex Jones leads to being able to demonetize or deplatform any channel that's viewed as, I don't know, espousing, what do they call it? Misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation, right? That's the three topics nowadays.
Yeah.
Mis, dis, and mal.
Yeah.
And who decides that again?
Well, of course, nameless, faceless bureaucrats that none of us voted for.
The same ones that still let Rachel Maddow's clips of them saying the vaccine was safe, secure, never going to get it, never going to spread it. No.
Yeah, those things.
The same people that said that, like, there's no effects, that this didn't come from a Wuhan lab. We need to trust Anthony Fauci because he's only the highest paid government employee that we've ever had. Like,
yep.
All these same people that said this for 2 years that are never held accountable for anything that they say, but they hold us accountable for everything we say. All these people are making the rules for us.
Mm-hmm.
Just making sure that we're on the same page.
Right.
Okay.
And, it's, like I said, TikTok is the Trojan horse. That's the one that, politicians on both sides of the aisle have been, justifying that why this sort of sweeping power is needed. But one thing that I didn't realize until this article from Reason is going to be posted down below or in the show notes page on the website is this little quote. And this is what I think is, more than obviously the getting into your privacy so they can control you more. That's the clear one. But we talk about how all the time, the financial system and the way that human beings freely choose to voluntarily interact with each other and exchange is the linchpin to everything. If they don't have control over the money supply, they can't just print it every time they want to go drop bombs halfway around the world on a wedding or a school full of children, right? If they can't just print money to do whatever it is they want to do, whether it be that stuff overseas or whether it be give handouts to people here at home while the value of your dollar is inflated away, if they can't do that, they have no real power at all. And this is why something like Bitcoin is such a decentralized ledger that nobody has control over is so dangerous to them. And this is from Coin Center that wrote, quote, although the primary targets of this legislation are companies like TikTok, the language of the bill could potentially be used to block or disrupt cryptocurrency transactions, and in extreme cases, block Americans' access to open source tools or protocols like Bitcoin.
So this next segment of the WMD podcast is brought to you by Bitcoin. If you haven't bought some Bitcoin yet,
go buy some Bitcoin.
You should really look into it because money's gone down and Bitcoin's gone up. Bitcoin, the best way to spend your money today for your money tomorrow. that shitty? Is that a shit?
With that being
You
said,
owe us $100 billion. You got the money. I know.
with that being said, this is not financial advice. David and I are not financial advisors. We do not recommend you do
Bitcoin
anything with your money. It's not a company, David. It's not like they can give us money.
Give us Bitcoin.
Although listeners and viewers, if you would like to donate to the show in the form of Bitcoin, there is a link for a wallet down in these comments.
These pretty faces don't come free.
You can donate us some Bitcoin. But that is usually a pretty good litmus test I use to navigate my life is if the government is attacking at full force from every direction, it's probably something I want to be involved in.
You might want to look into it.
Pretty good reason why they don't like it. And if they don't like it, I do. And that's not just merely contrarianism.
So what I just heard,
these people are trying to rule my life and yours.
Is that Epstein's Island is something that you are interested in? Defend it.
No, that was dominated by government people, top to bottom.
They hate pediastry.
They loved it.
Well,
so I want to stay as far away from that place as I can.
They hate child porn. They'll smack you up for it.
No, they use it all the time.
How do you know that?
I want to say, I don't know if it was child in particular, but there was an audit of a federal agency. It may have been the IRS a few years ago. Like a bunch of people got fired because like all day they were sitting at work watching porn. Now, I don't think it was child porn, but still. Like,
thank God for that.
I don't think.
Still.
I mean, but would you be that surprised?
No.
Because
it's a government goddamn job. Have you ever mailed anything? Yeah. There is no reason I can get on a plane and in 5 hours, I can be 1,000 miles away from where I'm at right now. And I give you a fucking parcel with 52 cents. I guess you get what you pay for at the end of the day. Like I give you a stamp with 52 cents on it and it takes you 7 days to get it to where I want you to go. Nothing takes 7 days anymore. You can order a fucking Laotian bride and she'll arrive in 4 in the properly packaged packaging. So think about that. Yeah. With that wonderful segue, the main topic is Trump getting one more time indicted. Oh, got it. So just the people that were doing it were dicks.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, that's where we're on the same page.
By the way, I don't have exact numbers, but apparently at the Department of Interior, one of the federal agencies.
It's like this, only different.
And this was in January 7th, 2020. An epidemic.
The day after.
Interesting choice of words, not 3 months before. Epidemic of government employees watching porn on taxpayers' time. Oh, wow, it was. I'm just going to read the first couple sentences. An epidemic of federal employees watching porn on taxpayer time has reached a new low at one agency where a veteran staffer...
Or high, depending on how you look at it.
A veteran staffer, quote, viewed child pornography on a government computer on multiple occasions. The unidentified employee worked at the Bureau of Land Management, which operates under the Department of the Interior, and admitted to investigators from the agency's Inspector General's office that he viewed adult pornography on multiple occasions, though he knew DOI policy prohibits it.
Dude.
Do you really need a policy to tell you that your employer prohibits you watching?
I'm scared to type in what I'm into on my phone, and this motherfucker was doing it on a government-issued computer on a government-issued server
while getting paid on the taxpayer's dime.
Holy shit! The huevos rancheros on this guy have got to be muy grande. Yeah. No más pantalones para.
In one case, a senior NSF executive spent at least 331 days viewing porn on his government computer and chatting online with naked women without getting caught. A separate employee accessed hundreds of
Some might call that a fucking streak, by the way,
during work hours in a 3-week period, and another was caught with hundreds of photos, videos, and slideshows containing porn. Here's the key. What do we always say? Is there accountability in government? That too. Is there accountability in government? Not porn links on work computers during work hours. But next sentence, government accountability. None of the public employees was subject to criminal prosecution, civil court action, or debarment. Though some got suspended in short periods of time, I'm sure with paid leave. I'm sure because, paid by you, taxpayer. You don't get to say, I want the portion of my taxes back that paid that guy to sit there and watch kiddie porn on government computers all day long. You don't get to say that, taxpayer. As a matter of fact, if you say that, you're probably going to go to jail.
This
for tax evasion.
Episode took a dark turn.
It did.
And it's not like we skipped to Malou in the light on this podcast. It's mostly just depressing shit. And I feel like we've gotten even more depressing than we normally do.
Listen, I'm just saying, okay? Nominally libertarian podcast, not ashamed of that. Some people are going to stumble across this podcast and say, oh, well, that's just, your typical government hating libertarians. They just, exaggerate and make up stuff for reasons to hate
that was the
government.
Most cursory Google search.
Because they are, they're just, anti-establishment contrarians and they don't have any valid support to their opinions. And
Nah. You typed in government officials child pornography, and that's the first article that you found.
And it popped up with epidemic of government employees watching porn on taxpayer time.
Christ almighty. It's not even, there aren't even ads in front of it, for God's sake.
Oh, that article is from 2020. I have one from 2018 that says more cases of federal workers watching porn on the job.
That led to COVID. Maybe if they'd been a little more attentive to the Wuhan lab, they wouldn't have said it was racist to say Wuhan lab while they were jerking off to child porn.